Guys, let's assemble the pistons. Those are two upper rings, like a compression rings. Those three thin and corrugated, two thin rings plus one corrugated ring is the oil ring, and those goes first. And let's see what's gonna be the easiest way. This is the very thin ring, and forgot to do one important part is to lubricate the assembling area. It shouldn't hurt. I'm gonna use this very cheap, probably the cheapest oil as the braking oil. So let's see. We're gonna need to make sure those ends do not overlap. It needs to be kind of butt connected. So this goes to the bottom, just like that. And one of those kind of keeper rings will be on the top in the same groove, and one's gonna be on the bottom. It doesn't make any difference. Those two little rings are the same. And let's see. This goes to the bottom, and yeah, this corrugated ring is kind of butt connected now. It's not overlapping, which is what we want. So this second ring will go on the top of this corrugated ring. Again, doesn't matter which way, up or down. Alright, almost there. Okay, we just completed the installation of the oil ring. It's not set up yet because those gaps should be pointed at a certain spot, but it's gonna be the step we're gonna do after we're gonna install all those rings. So those two are the compression rings, and they got these paint markings. I'm not sure if you can see them, but let's say this one is pinkish, this one is bluish, and typically those markings, at least on the Kawasaki engines, cannot talk about different brands, but at least on the Kawasaki engines, those markings will go to the right from the from this gap. So let's say from your point of view, it should have the top of the piston right here and the bottom of the piston right here, and this marking is on the right from this gap as well. Let me try to show you. Those two rings got the writings on the top. This says 2R, this one got 1R. Those writings should be on the top of the ring. So 2R means this is the second ring, and it will go into the second groove. So let's try to install it. It's gonna be a little bit more difficult because it's thicker. Oops, that's the wrong groove. Let's go to the next one. a little bit stuck in here. Hold on guys, we're stuck between the first groove and the second groove, which is funny. Alright, we're making the progress to the second groove. Alright, we are in the second groove, and the painting from my point of view, and actually from your point of view, is on the right from this gap. And now let's install the first ring again with the marking 1R on the top, which is gonna make the paint mark on the right side. So we're not done with the rings yet, because we need to orient them properly. You can see this mark, this like arrow. It says that the flywheel should be on the top right here. So, and let's say this is the vertical line, which means we need to position the ring number 1 and the ring number 3 about 45 degrees from this vertical line. So right about here. I guess this is about 45 degrees. And I'm gonna need to find this like a third ring. Probably gonna need the peak. I know I can use my nails. So those the first and the third ring will have the gap in the same spot, 45 degrees from the vertical line. So this is the wrist pin right here. So from the wrist pin line you take like 45 degrees turn, and this is where you install the gaps for the first ring and the third ring. Now the second ring, which is, where is it? Let me have something here. The second ring gonna be 180 degrees opposite from the first ring, which is about here, I would say. No, maybe a little more. So yeah, this is gonna be the 45 degree line, and yeah, this is where the gap is for the second ring. And the same thing we should do for the last fifth ring. Actually it's already almost there. Okay, so those first and third ring are in line. Actually I can use this this line as the reference, and this line as a reference, and those, the second and the fifth ring are in line. That's it. That's the first piston completed. I'm gonna do the same thing for the second piston, align the rings the same way, and we'll proceed further. Okay, this is the sleeve to compress the rings on the piston, and I will slightly lubricate it, because the piston will need to slide through it. You guys, do you feel we're getting close? Woo woo, it's alive. All right, so let's put it here. Let's put the piston inside. I'm gonna check once again the marks on the rings, and they are good. And this tool, this still comes with the you know, guys, I think I made it upside down because that's the main area where it's been compressed. Let me release it. I think the top, let me fix the rings a little bit. I think the top of the cylinder is supposed to go here, to be honest. And it's tricky to keep the rings in the same spot. Alright, looks like it's there. Let's continue the assembling. From here I will be using the assembly loop. It's pretty much like an oil, it's just more thick, I guess, and it will prevent the kind of dry first start of the components. So I will lube the surface where the crank gonna go. Yeah, it's like a almost like a gem substance, and I'm gonna put a little on the crank as well. This is the top side of the crank. I already installed the new seal, and let's carefully put the crank in place. All right, and now I will actually use some engine oil to put on the cylinder walls. Where is it? So the kind of right or kind of passenger side piston goes first. Okay, so I looped the cylinder walls, and let's attempt to install the piston. So the arrow on the piston goes towards the flywheel side, which is the opposite side from here. So it's gonna go like that. Carefully fit the piston. Some friendly tappy taps. Hopefully the rings are compressed, enough. Maybe not. It doesn't flow. Hold on. Maybe it's just the. Let me try. Okay, yeah, the piston is in place. All right, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to put the loop on the lobe of the crankshaft. So Let me do it right now. How could I forget to put a loop on it? That's embarrassing. Alright, now I will install the cap and torque it. Alright, this is the cap. Let's remove the debris, if there is any, and I will apply some lube in here, and it's got the direction, so it cannot be installed either way. So this this notched part goes towards the flywheel. Okay. Okay, I guess I'm ahead of myself because the instruction says that I need to lubricate the threads on the bolts, as well as the kind of this seat. So yeah, the instructions are specific about the lubricating of the bolts that secures the cap in place. All right. The first bolt goes in. Where's the second bolt? Okay, the second bolt, the thread, as well as the kind of seat. Okay, and I will prepare now my torque wrench, and I'll let you know what is the torque value for those cap bolts. And specification is 9.8 Newton meters. That's what I have in here. I don't recall, was it like 10 millimeter bolt? Yes, it was. And I would like to do it evenly from both sides, if it's gonna be possible. Right, it's very light torque, surprisingly. Okay. We definitely won't like to, or would want to over torque it. Okay, let's do the second side. I won't shoot it, it's gonna be the same procedure. Okay. Let's turn it slightly. Little by little, each of them. Okay, both are torqued. It's getting heavier with every part installed. Okay. Whew. I'm gonna recheck the torques once again, just to make sure nothing was missed. Good. 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 And the last one. Good. All right. The next, I would like to install the push rods, and again I'm gonna use the assembly lube. This is the passenger side, so that's actually goes here. And this is the passenger side too. And this one is a little bit lower there. How to get there? Ouch. Okay, installed. Moves freely. Okay, I'll start with the bottom one on the driver's side, left side. Some lube. One. And one and two, making sure it moves freely. Okay, now it's time to install the camshaft. And in order to do that, we're gonna need to position specifically, I mean the crankshaft in the certain way, so the dot that it has will point towards the little you know, dot on the camshaft. And I'm gonna install, actually let me wipe it first ever so slightly, and I'm gonna install the loop right here on the cams, on those kind of roller things. I guess this is for the decompression. And now we carefully all right, those two notches, let me apply some loop on this, what is it, like sprocket, and this sprocket too. Now I would like to replace two O-rings on those oil kind of passages. The old O-ring is pretty much like a plastic now. It's very flat and it's supposed to appear like, you know, normal regular O-ring. Okay, that's the first one. It goes right into the groove. You know what, I need to clean the groove from the old RTV first. Now I'll attempt to apply the ultra black Permatex. I know, guys, you cannot see. I'm trying to apply a very thin layer. I don't want it to squeeze much inside the, you know, engine. Some debris. It squeezes pretty hard, to be honest. Doesn't flow as easy as I would like to, but we're almost done. Oh. All right, let's check for the possible gaps. Okay. There is a little gap here. Okay, looks good to me. Everything is connected. Now I would like to apply the oil around the crank right here, or I'm not sure where exactly it sits within the bottom cover. So let's do it pretty much everywhere. And bottom cover, just in case. So we have both double pins. We have this oil passage, we have those two oil passages with the new O-rings, and I think we are ready. Carefully, very carefully, very carefully to put the bottom cover back on the top, if it makes any sense. The oil, I'll align the oil pump. We'll try to align the oil pump. Carefully. You know what? I forgot to lubricate this seal. That's the only thing that preventing us now to seat the cover. All right, we're seated. Now I will hand tighten the bolts in a crisscross pattern, and we'll let the RTV to set, and in an hour from now I'll torque those bolts per factory specifications, which is yet to find out which are they. Alright, let me find some power tools. I'm too lazy to... Which is it? Is it 12? Yes, it's 12. All right. We're waiting now. Okay, 10 bolts torqued using this sequence. I put it on the screen to 27.4 Newton meters, and I'm gonna flip it and put it onto the tractor, and we'll proceed with a further installation or assembling, I would say. I installed the engine back on the tractor. I will continue with the kind of upper part installation, like the flywheel, this stator that produces the electricity, the coils, and then I'll get to the covers, or the heads, I would say. I'll apply the very tiny amount of blue Loctite because there are vibrations right here, and we want to make sure the stator is sitting nice and tight. Just a very little bit, almost nothing. Okay, that's enough. I'll try to make it like as even as possible. Very tiny bit. Okay, let's next do the flywheel. This is the anti-seize. And This is the key for the flywheel, just like that. It's pretty heavy, to be honest, despite its a very small size. Okay, flywheel is installed. Next I will install the coils and the starter. Okay, next go coils, and I'm gonna need to double check what is the clearance between the coils and the flywheel to make sure the gap is correct. And this is the tricky part, because the gap supposed to be maintained between the coil and this part, like this kind of magnet thing, or you know, whatever it is, not the body of the flywheel, but this magnet part. So make sure you do not put them too tight and then rotate the flywheel, because you may damage your coils. Yeah, there is the magnet, and I'll double check what is the clearance, the proper clearance between the magnet and the coil, and we'll proceed from here. So the gap here is from 0.2 to 0.4 millimeters. So I took the feeler gauge and I put it on 0.3 millimeters, pretty much, kind of the average, and that's what we're gonna use. Again, and what I told you guys, we need to measure from this magnet, not from the flywheel itself. Okay. Yeah, a little bit too close, just a hair too close. Let me realign it. And it's tricky because it's magnetic and it's kind of attracts. It's not so easy to kind of navigate. That's a little bit too close again. It's gonna take some time, guys. Let's install the head. So the head has 3 longer bolts and 2 shorter. I got the mating surface cleaned, and so this is the head gasket hanging on the dowel pins, and this is the head. I decided to install the push rod later. Meanwhile, I'm gonna work with the head bolts. This is the longer one, this is the longer one too. The shorter one's gonna be right here. Okay, now it's hanging on its own. Alright, that's the assembling instructions, and that's the sequence. It's very hard to see, but the matter of fact is, this is bolt number 1, then goes 2, then 3, then 4, then 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the torque is 46 Newton meters. I already set up my range for this value, and again I'm gonna do the probably like in 3 stages. Okay, let's do it. Very gently. Okay, let's do like 15. Manual does not specify that you need to do it like in stages or anything, but I feel it's kind of more common sense-ish, I would say. Okay, 30. And I think we're ready to go for 46. Forty-six. 46. 46. 46, and the last one 46. Okay, let's see if we can lock out with the with the push rod. I can install it now here, press on the valve a little bit, and the rod is installed, but we're gonna need to check the lash later on. Now let's install the bracket. Hold on, it's got, looks like it's got some thread lock, so hold on, I'm gonna clean it and I'm gonna apply the Loctite, because looks like it was thread locked. Okay, a little dab of the Loctite should be sufficient. There is only one way how you can install this bracket. Start with the hand. Okay, I will lash this rocker to 4/1000 of an inch. It's better to do with two people, but I think we can manage it. I just lashed both rockers to 4/1000. This one may be 5/1000. Both of that is acceptable. I'm gonna reuse the old gaskets because they're actually nearly new, maybe an hour of work time for those. So if they're gonna leak, I got the replacement set of brand new ones, but I'll try to reuse I put, previously. And so those bolts are being tightened at 5.9 Newton meters, and the sequence is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Can't wait to start the engine, or at least attempt to crank it. I hope the new rings and rehoning will help. Hopefully it's gonna run at least not worse than it was running before. I don't think it should. Yeah, my torque range can't go that small amount of torque, so I will simply lightly tighten it. Alright, I'm gonna repeat the whole process for the left side and we'll continue. Okay, the valve covers are installed. Next goes this fan kind of thing. It's 10 millimeters. Okay, now let's put the crank bolt back in place. It's gonna be 7 16, I think. Yeah, that's 17 millimeters. I don't think there is any direction to this triangle. Can be installed either way. Should be good and tight. And next, let's install the shield. Okay, this goes here, shield goes on the top, and it's like a T30, I think, Torx 30 size. I'm gonna find this bit and tighten it. Let's try to remember how this whole contraption has been installed. So the longer bolts goes for the intake, and as you can see, one of the gaskets is torn. I do not have the replacement gasket yet. Hopefully it will be, you know, sufficient at least to kind of start. Let me actually clean this. This is an intake and I don't want this whole mess fly into the cylinder. Let's continue. So I slightly clean the intake port, and so this hose goes, you know, right here inside the carb, and I'm gonna try to route it. All right, we're almost there. First bolt. Second bolt. Guess it's gonna be easier to do without the carb in place, to be honest. Let me remove it briefly. And again, this hose is being disconnected. All right, much more space for working. It may suck some air because of this gasket, but you know, I think if it can start, it will start, and then order the gasket and replace it. Okay, trying to do everything evenly. Okay, should be good enough for our scientific purposes. The carb goes first. The fuel doesn't smell so good. It had a bad fuel when I purchased it, and I added some more fresh fuel, but not all of it, so it's still got some varnish smell. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, this ground wire goes right here. This is being connected from the bottom, just like that. This is gonna be for the bracket, so I won't tighten it yet. Actually, let's install the bracket now. There are multiple springs and levers, so I would like, first of all, install this lever, click, and install this spring. This works with the governor in a crankcase. Alright, this one is installed. Good. Going free. Now we have this contraption, and I'm gonna need to remember. So this obviously goes here, just like that. Let me put a bolt here, and I'll try to remember what exactly is happening. Okay, I do remember. I need to remove it again, because the spring, the big spring in the back, this one, it needs to connect to this kind of governor thing. Alright, just like that. Okay, and now we can put this bolt in place, as well as we can put this nut. And one more bolt that I need to find somewhere. Right here in front of me. And we have this little spring that we need to connect to this lever. Alright, and just need to tighten all those bolts. Okay, this goes for the carb. Want to make sure it's tightened evenly. And this. We're almost ready to start, but just guys, don't forget to remind me that we don't have an oil and we need to change the filter. Okay, let's put some fresh oil. Is gonna be just for breaking in purposes, the most cheap oil I found. And I would like also to replace the filter, because it's still the old filter installed, and I have a couple more filters in stock. This engine calls for 64 ounces of oil, which is conveniently 2 quarts of oil. That's how much I'm putting, like 2 full bottles. I used like just a little bit for as lubrication during assembly, but I don't think it will hurt it much. Okay, and give me a moment, I'll replace the oil filter. Okay, let's connect the battery. Battery connected. I would like to spin the engine for just a little bit without fuel connected and without the spark plugs, simply so the oil, lubricate Let's spin it just a little bit, if it's gonna spin at all. Okay, now I will install the new spark plugs and we'll attempt to start it. Alright, brand new spark plug from NGK. Hopefully it's not fake. I'm not sure if they have the problem with not being authentic. I know the Motorcraft, the Ford plugs, it's like a big problem for them. Amazon and eBay is just there are more fake Motorcraft plugs than the real ones. That's how bad the problem is. All right, all right, this one is installed. Yeah, the shield is still loose. Number 2, brand new again. You know what I forgot? I forgot to put the electric grease, and I'll do it in a moment. Good. All right, a little bit of grease right here, and I'll repeat with the other spark plug too. Now let's hook up the fuel line on the carb, and I'll hook up the vacuum line on the fuel pump. For some reason I'm missing the same kind of retainer ring on it. It should be there, but it's not there. Hold on, it's there. It's just slipped away. Yeah, found it. Okay. Installed. Let me push them over a little bit, outside, because I bet it will smoke some, since I used the oil in the cylinders when I installed the pistons. So I think it will burn some. Okay, we're with the brake engaged. Okay, and this is for the headlights. Let's re-engage the brake. Let's have some choke. Let's see if it's gonna start. Probably it will crank for a while because the gas is not there. My god, it's just from the first spin pretty much. The oil and all the stuff should burn. I'm gonna let it idle for 5 minutes. Then I'm gonna bring it for like 30%, 40% of a throttle and let it idle for not idle, but and let it run for another 5 minutes. All right, so I'll keep you posted, guys. Let's check what kind of oil is there. I ran it probably around like 30 minutes. I drove it, around around my block in the neighborhood. I guess my neighbors were kind of wondering what's happening. But yeah, the construction of this spigot is absolutely ridiculous. So the idea is good, like there is this is the valve and you can open it, it's gonna flow from here, but flow where exactly? So I blocked this outlet on the top, and I'm gonna remove the valve completely. I think the oil is still hot. It's very clean, but regardless, I would like to put the brand new oil after this initial start. There could be very little debris of metal or whatever. So actually this trick with the foil works good. As I see, last time I made the mess all around here. I really couldn't figure out how to use this kind of spigot. Then I will carefully pour this oil away from this container, maybe through the filter, and take a look on what kind of particles gonna be left in the filter. By the way, maybe I'm gonna open the probably doesn't make any difference now. I'll let it drip. I'm gonna put again the brand new filter. This is 20-minute old filter, but regardless, interesting. If it's very hot actually. It was the hand tied, but right now I cannot use my hands, it's too hot. At this point I will be using again brand new Kawasaki filter. So this is the filter from the break-in. This is the filter I used before the break-in, when I just got them over. So this is the third filter in about 1 hour, maybe hour and a half of operation of this engine. And I will be using 20W50 oil. This is the pretty thick oil. It's designed for the high temperatures, and since it's a mover and I'm living in the southeast, it gets pretty high in the summer, sometimes 90 or 100 degrees, and so I guess this oil should work just fine. And I'll replace it again probably in about maybe 20 hours of engine hours from now. Okay, new filter again goes in. I'll tighten it in a moment. Now let me put back the valve. And by the way, you probably cannot see, but the mower is tilted, so I raised the right side of the mower so I can drain as much oil as possible. Okay, that's tight. Let's remove the foil. Let's tighten the filter. Yeah. And yes, I oiled the seal. All right, and let's put 2 fresh quarts of Kawasaki brand oil. I bet it will do its magic. Okay. You can see this oil is much more thick comparing to the double, what was it, a 0W30. But it should work better in the summer, in a hot summer I would say. Container number 1. Let's prepare the container number 2. All right. Let's put the hood back in place. Connect the headlights. Where is it? Here. Okay. And let's take it for a short spin. Let's see if it's gonna start without the choke. The engine pretty much is still hot. Brakes. No problem. Garbage day. All right, let's get some gas. By the way guys, zero smoke. Remember when we started this video on the acceleration and deceleration, it had like a really bad smoke going on, but right now, nope. Really nice. return. Woohoo! The odometer / hour meter says 122 hours, and it's pretty high because I left the ignition on for a couple nights and I didn't notice that, and it's still counting the hours even if the engine is not running, but if the ignition is on, which is weird. Of course, only time can tell if this repair was successful, but at least right now, comparing how it was acting previously, it is much more responsive. Remember, it was bucking when I was applying the gas. Doesn't do it now. It's just starts and goes, and no problem. No any smoke coming from the exhaust. I mean, at least right now, it's a very successful repair for me, unless it will blow at some point for any reason. I don't know, but yeah, works. Drives, starts, good. Guys, thank you for watching this very long video. Probably not many of you gonna stay up to that point, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.